They're a brand, a legend, a symbol of rebellion on two wheels, the Hells Angels. From their humble beginnings in California to their global dominance, their story is a wild ride of brotherhood, defiance, and, yes, a whole lot of trouble. But how did a small motorcycle club morph into a worldwide phenomenon? Buckle up, gearheads, because we're peeling back the layers and analyzing the historical growth of the Hells Angels. Post-war boom, from nomads to notorious 1940s 1960s, the Hells Angels' journey starts after World War II. Discharged veterans, restless and seeking a sense of belonging, formed motorcycle clubs. One such club, the Booze Fighters, in Fontana, California, laid the foundation for what would become the first official Hells Angels chapter in 1948. Historical accounts reveal a fledgling group trying to define itself a social club for war vets or a budding outlaw motorcycle gang OMG. Early days were marked by wild rides, bar brawls, and a fierce independence that clashed with societal norms. Local law enforcement took notice, but the Hells Angels weren't ready to be tamed. This period also saw the birth of their iconic insignia, the winged skull, a symbol of rebellion that would become synonymous with the club. Shifting gears, the Counterculture and a rise to fame, 1960s 1970s. Fast forward to the 1960s. The counterculture movement was in full swing, and the Hells Angels, with their bad boy image, fit right in. Hunter S. Thompson's infamous book, Hells Angels, a strange and terrible saga, thrust them into the spotlight, portraying them as counterculture heroes. But fame came with a price. Law enforcement investigations revealed a darker side involvement in drug trafficking, violence, and organized crime. The infamous Altamont concert in 1969, marred by violence involving the Hells Angels, further solidified their reputation as a dangerous outlaw gang. Going global, spreading the wings, 1970s 1990s, the 1970s and 80s saw the Hells Angels take their first steps towards becoming a global phenomenon. Historical investigations show how they capitalized on their notoriety, charter expansion, drawing on a network of supporters and admirers. They established chapters across the United States and then ventured overseas. Chapters sprouted in Canada, Europe, and even Australia, establishing the Hells Angels as an international force. Adapting to different cultures, the key to their global success was their adaptability. They learned to navigate different legal landscapes and cultural norms while maintaining a core identity, loyalty to the club, and defiance of authority. This expansion brought new challenges. Law enforcement agencies around the world began collaborating to disrupt their activities. But the Hells Angels, known for their resourcefulness, found ways to adapt and keep their international network strong. Beyond borders, a brotherhood forged in steel, international member perspective. To understand the global appeal of the Hells Angels, let's hear from someone who lived it. Here's Franz Schmidt, a former member of a European Hells Angels chapter.
It wasn't just about the bikes, man. It was the brotherhood. We weren't all criminals. We had doctors, lawyers, all walks of life. But together, on the road, we were Hells Angels. That feeling of belonging transcended borders.
Franz's perspective highlights the sense of camaraderie and shared identity that transcends national boundaries, a key factor in the Hells Angels' global growth. Challenges and conflicts. Maintaining dominance, 1990s present. Intensified law enforcement, international cooperation has become a major hurdle. Law enforcement agencies around the world now share information, tactics, and strategy. This makes it much harder for the Hells Angels to operate in the shadows. Shifting demographics, the biker landscape is changing. Younger generations may not be as drawn to the outlaw biker image, potentially impacting recruitment and long-term growth. Internal tensions, rifts between chapters, and competition with rival Ongs like the Mongols and the Outlaws pose internal threats that can weaken the global network. Despite these challenges, the Hells Angels remain a formidable force. They've shown an ability to adapt. Utilizing technology, They leverage technology for communication and recruitment, using encrypted messaging platforms to connect across borders and social media to control their narrative and potentially attract new members. Exploiting legal loopholes. They find ways to exploit legal loopholes in different countries, making it difficult for law enforcement to shut them down completely. The digital age, a new frontier. The internet has become a new battleground for the Hells Angels, propaganda and recruitment. Social media allows them to showcase their lifestyle and potentially attract new members globally. Communication and fundraising. Encrypted messaging platforms facilitate communication between chapters and potentially raise funds through merchandise sales or online ventures. The digital world presents both opportunities and risks. Mastering this new landscape will be crucial for the Hells Angels to maintain their global presence. Beyond the outlaw image, a legacy of rebellion. Looking forward, the Hells Angels' global growth story isn't just about defiance and criminal activity. It's also about the allure of freedom, the power of brotherhood, and the enduring appeal of living outside the mainstream. Whether they maintain their dominance or fade from the spotlight, the Hells Angels have left an undeniable mark on motorcycle culture and the history of law enforcement. Their story serves as a reminder of the complex forces that drive outlaw motorcycle gangs and the ongoing struggle between rebellion and authority on a global scale. The Hells Angels roared onto the scene after World War, a band of restless veterans seeking freedom and camaraderie. These early days were marked by wild rides, bar brawls, and a fierce independence that clashed with societal norms. Their iconic winged skull insignia became a symbol of rebellion, and their reputation as a motorcycle club began to solidify. The 1960s saw the Hells Angels thrust into the spotlight thanks to Hunter S. Thompson's infamous book, Hells Angels, A Strange and Terrible Saga. This portrayal as counterculture heroes came at a cost, as law enforcement investigations revealed a darker side involvement in drug trafficking, violence, and organized crime. The infamous Altamont concert cemented their outlaw image, a reputation that has followed them ever since. The Hells Angels, however, didn't remain confined to the United States. They capitalized on their notoriety, establishing chapters across the globe. From Canada and Europe to Australia, the Hells Angels became a global force. Their key to success, adaptability. They learned to navigate different legal landscapes and cultural norms, all while maintaining their core identity, loyalty to the club, and defiance of authority. This expansion, however, brought new challenges: intense law enforcement cooperation, shifting demographics, and internal tensions with rival gangs. Digging deeper into the ride. This exploration of the Hells Angels' transformation into a global phenomenon is just the beginning. If you're curious to learn more, here are some resources to fuel your biker wanderlust. Historical books and documentaries on the Hells Angels' international expansion. Interviews with former members from various chapters around the world. Studies and reports on outlaw motorcycle gangs and their global reach. So, gearheads, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, ride safe, but maybe not quite as wild as the Hells Angels.